Good morning. My name is Nomsa. I am the Shadow Minister of Basic Education for the official opposition party, which is the Democratic Alliance in South Africa. I'm so honored and privileged to be part of this forum to talk about where South Africa is in terms of homeschooling. As some of you might know, South Africa has had a very difficult history, particularly if you look at homeschooling. Prior to 1994 and post the apartheid dispensation, homeschooling was outlawed, which meant that should a parent decide to homeschool their child, they will be prosecuted. And for that matter, one family, the parents of that family, they were sent to jail, as ridiculous as that might sound. But that was our reality at the time. So what happened was there were activists that decided to work together with the Homeschool Legal Defense Association from the USA that basically worked tirelessly to ensure that homeschool it is legalized in South Africa. And with us today in our midst, we have one particular person whom I had the privilege of meeting, Professor Jan de Groff, who has been part of, advocating for the legalization of homeschooling in our country. Professor de Groff worked as a project leader, and he worked on the legislation and also at the reform of our constitution within our constitutional court, which led to the inclusion of homeschooling within our School Education Act of 1996. And from that time, we saw a number of families that were opting for homeschooling for various reasons. I have to say that some of the reason was the uncertainty of the new dispensation. People were sort of like, they felt that they needed to be more in control of the education of their children, and also from the fact that there was exorbitant prices that they had to pay for private education. And over the years, we have seen quite a number of parents that are opting for homeschooling because of the violence that they've seen, that they're constantly seeing at school, and also the quality of education, which has always been so much questionable within our sector, and also in the country at large. But with homeschooling, the South African census of 2010 has shown that there are now thousands of families who are opting for homeschool, and it comes from all different races. It's no more one race opting for that. You're seeing different races, different ethnic groups, and different classes of people are looking at homeschooling as an alternative way of educating children. But what we have seen now recently in 2017, the Department of Basic Education has sought to introduce a new regulatory environment, and which is the Basic Education Law Amendment, which was put for publication. And fortunately, many, I still believe that we could have received more comments from the publication. But what happened was, like, we received about 5,500 comments on the bill, because many people felt like it sort of undermines the autonomy of the schools, and that was also a view that was shared by the homeschooling fraternity. So what we did, we sought for a presentation from the department as a Democratic Alliance. We asked that the department comes and presents the bill to us. Up to so far, the bill hasn't been introduced to Parliament, and neither to the portfolio committee. But what we've seen is that there was some kind of discussion that we had with the department, just to know what were the issues with the bill, and we also identified basically the intention to basically undermine the rights of schools. Although there were some parts of the legislation that we thought were actually good that we can adopt, but there were those that we sort of felt like it. The bill, as I said, seeks to undermine the autonomy of the schools. So for now, what has happened is that the Pestalozzi Trust, together with other home education groups, have fortunately had the privilege to engage with the minister, and the discussions over this bill are still ongoing. And we haven't, up to so far, seen the bill yet. It hasn't been introduced, and also, the fact that now we are having this crisis of COVID-19, we sort of like in limbo in terms of the legislation that needs to be introduced, despite the fact that now that the Parliament is starting to operate and to function in whatever capacity that it can. So we're basically trying to find ways of having the Parliament to work to its full capacity, but using virtual online, which is quite a challenge. And I think, many countries are finding themselves in this situation. Going back to, basically to COVID-19, as you know, it has dramatically impacted the education sector in South Africa. Schools closed on the 18th of March, and the country entered into a national lockdown. The virus impacted the school in different ways, but what we have seen is that those schools that have resources have been able to have virtual learning within the school itself and have managed to continue with the education. But then this is not something that has been done with other schools, because other schools are, the public school, majority of, what we call the quintile 1 to 3. They are really schools that are non-paying schools, which are poorly resourced, and they face enormous challenges. And the school closure has seriously impacted learning within the schools. And also, the fact that we have this coronavirus, it has meant that 9 million learners that normally would receive nutrition at school are not receiving that nutrition, and it's become now a crisis that we believe that now, if learners, they're not getting the nutrition that they should be getting, are really not receiving that. So that has brought a lot of concerns within the education sector. And what we have basically opted for now is that the ministry has decided that there has to be some kind of a phased-in approach. From the 1st of June, we are going to be seeing the grade 12s, which is the final year, and also the final year of the high school, and also the grade 7s, which is the final year of primary school. You're going back to school, and but ensuring that all the requirements are in place in terms of regulations, of ensuring that there is safety, that there is protective clothing, that not only protective clothing, like you have masks, face masks, we have sanitization that is going to be happening in schools, and having the infrastructure, or even the infrastructure that will allow social distancing, which will obviously be a challenge. And so now, because of that, many parents now are looking into homeschooling as an alternative, because they believe that as long as we haven't reached our peak, which has been predicted by our health department and also scientists, to say that our health peak, our virus, the peak of the virus will be in September. So many parents they believe that after September, that will be the right time for their children to go to school. So they are looking for temporary ways of being able to provide education to their children until September. And homeschooling has been the number one choice or option that they would like to look into. I've also received calls of people who are saying, how do you go about to start providing homeschooling? for their families. So it has been something that we really hoping that it can actually come to play, because what has happened is that the president, when he gave his speech on Sunday, the past Sunday, he said parents who feel they don't want their children to go back to school, they have a right to do so. They have a right to do so as long as they are provided with some kind of education. So then that has basically been emphasized the importance of this. And going forward, I think it's something that we really have to make it more accessible for parents, and be able to have the support that they need, should that be an option. It shouldn't be something that has to come when we're having a crisis. It has to be fully acknowledged, and also to be supported. The parents need to get as much support from the Department of Basic Education in terms of ensuring that it does become an option. And also just to add to that, and to have the type of infrastructure that will allow that we have online learning that goes together with that, with homeschooling, and also with our public sector. Thank you so much, and it's been such a privilege to talk to you.